Greetings and salutations to all of my fellow thinkers out there on the internet. For today's thought experiment and discussion, I bring you a most excellent question by the wonderful PMS Jordan. Twitter link is in the description, by the way. Go follow her ASAP. But she asks, what's your opinion of the WoW subscription? I talked to insert mysterious content creator here in a DM, and he believes that it will stay. And while this mysterious content creator will remain a mystery to you, this is something I've been thinking about for a very long time. So let's ask the question, what if the subscription in MMORPGs is dying? Hello everyone and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name's Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, you look smashing today. That's what you get for subscribing to the channel, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. As many of you might already feel that it is, or might associate this question with the MMORPG genre in whole, but in reality, with Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard and adding World of Warcraft to its list of IPs, and with them already having ESO, Elder Scrolls Online for those who don't know, which actually has an optional subscription option, the looming question of Game Pass and World of Warcraft remains. Oh, and let us not forget about Final Fantasy XIV being out there, but we'll get to that in a minute. But let's be real here. People love money. Microsoft loves money. And businesses exist to make money. So to start, I think WoW is actually going to continue its subscription for the time being. But I think that that's actually going to change with time. You might ask why? Answer, subscription fatigue and the all-powerful cash shop. I think I should also insert at this point, if you are new, my preferred method is the subscription model. I am not really a big fan of microtransactions and cash shops personally, but I'm just going to put that out there because typically some people feel like I am advocating for that kind of future. I am unfortunately just the prophet of bad news here at Ginger Prime. For over the past 2 years here on this channel, I've seen Game Pass compete more and more with the traditional subscription models for MMORPGs. So much so that new games like New World launch completely without the option to even have a subscription. And as Blizzard has personally found out, cash shops are king, and they actually drive way more money to the game, as witnessed with falling subscriptions and rising revenue within the game itself. And then you also have the practical reality that a WoW sub costs as much as Game Pass Ultimate. So for some, Microsoft might even offer perhaps a discount or even a quote-unquote enhanced version of Game Pass, which is really weird because they already call their enhanced version of Game Pass Ultimate. So Ultimate Plus, I don't know. We could always speculate on what they might call this in and of itself, but that possibly could then include a WoW subscription. But let's look to the genre as a whole. What subscription MMORPGs exist today? And don't worry, PMS Jordan actually has you covered with the answer, saying the only ones to my knowledge still doing them are World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, and shockingly Final Fantasy XI, and all three of those games are old. Now, I would actually toss in here Mortal Online 2 into that list, as well as the upcoming Ashes of Creation as a question mark potential, as that game does and advertise itself with a sub fee, but it also has a cash shop and is selling you items for the game itself right now, even though the game is not even out yet. We can't even begin to talk about this without even talking about the amazing Guild Wars 2, but as PMS Jordan points out, that there was content drought in that game itself. So ultimately, we're seeing the model being tested. We're seeing subscriptions as a whole not even being included in new games. Phantasy Star Online 2 is a good example in which its subscription fee is completely optional as well. And so the model in and of itself is completely in flux as of the time of this recording. Personally speaking, the writing's been on the wall for the subscription model in MMORPGs for a long time. And what has once been a staple of the genre as a business model over a decade ago, it doesn't stand up to the value offering that a service like Game Pass offers. And that's why I believe within a few years of Microsoft taking over Activision Blizzard, you'll either see the subscription added into Game Pass Ultimate, or World of Warcraft is going to drop its subscription outright if they don't do so prior to the acquisition. A few years after the acquisition takes place, It makes the most sense to me because that actually gives Microsoft the ability to analyze the data. And the question would be, how do you convert WoW subs into Game Pass subs? And how does that all work with the WoW token system in the economy? Because people could pay for Game Pass with WoW Gold if that ended up being the evolution. And would that bring about a whole new meaning to the term pay to earn, which has gotten a lot of gamers like myself questioning what the future of gaming even looks like? Does it end up becoming a second or a third job just to play your games in this case? So I said earlier that we talk about Final Fantasy XIV, and here's the part where we do just that. Yoshi P said years ago that he was watching how the World of Warcraft token was implemented at Blizzard, and he'd consider doing the same thing in 14 if it was successful. Now here we are years later. Final Fantasy XIV is on top and still no token. So that tells me one of two things: that he doesn't believe that the token is good for the game, or that it isn't the right time for him to do the token, and big changes are on the horizon for the game to come. Keep it locked here to the channel for updates in February, as I'm sure your mind is going to be blown. We'll talk about that here later in other videos. Yoshi P also said that if WoW went to a free-to-play model, then he'd consider that as well, but they're not going to drop the sub fee for 14, at least until WoW made the first move. Now it seems like to some degree big changes are on the horizon. So what does Final Fantasy XIV do if WoW does go into Game Pass, sub and all? I think Square Enix's best bet is to offer a Square Enix sub, add more value to their games across the board for just one simple fee. Final Fantasy XI being a fact that it's still a sub-based game and celebrating its 20th year and its anniversary this year alone. It's going to be an interesting case study to see if they end up joining it with Final Fantasy XIV. But I think you might see Final Fantasy XIV partner with perhaps the Sony PlayStation offering a Game Pass competitor that might be out there, if that is the case. Now, Yoshi P also said that a while back he didn't think a Game Pass subscription would work for Final Fantasy XIV, but honestly, I would say with the news coming out this week, all bets are off when it comes to the money that these companies are willing to spend and are currently tossing around. Now, as a genre, we have fond memories of the past, and that past is a past with a subscription model. And while that is my preferred method, like I said earlier, overall for these type of games, you can't deny that gamers have moved on to more free-to-play games, cash shop-driven games, and in order for the genre to live, I think the subscription model will die. And this isn't me advocating or celebrating this fact. I just look at the games that are being advertised to my kids, and I look at what people are playing over on Twitch, and all of that taken into account, and the barrier for entry with MMOs, Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, is that they require a continual subscription fee, and I think that drives players to other genres and ultimately now is holding back the MMORPG genre. Could be wrong. Let me know if I am in the comments. So what do you all think, you thinkers out there? Are big changes on the horizon, or will it be business as usual? And if so, for how long? 2025? 2030? Sound off in the comments with your thoughts. Let me know what you think of this thought experiment and what thought experiment you want me to tackle next. This has been Brian for Ginger Prime. Thank you for your time. I wish you a most excellent day. And until we meet again, take care.
I just want to say I'm really glad you're feeling better, and I love the videos. Well, I love you too. Michelle? Shoot for the moon, and so even if you fail, you'll reach the stars. Go for the 100K subscribers. Yeah.